Mercury. Looking at the Venus. You can get these in a printout, but boy, when you see it on the chart and you watch it drawn out like this and you get the dates, it just makes it so real and easy to integrate. You see the whole thing at one point. So in, how much bigger can I make this? Okay, so, okay, so now with the Venus here, there's a delay on my seeing what people are seeing, what the audience view is, so I can't, there's some delay in you getting this screen, so I'm just assuming you've got it right now. Just take a moment. Okay, so her Venus, her progressed Venus, in 1983, Saturn's in her 11th house squaring her sun. Saturn's over here in the 11th house squaring the sun. Would have been conjuncting Mars, but Venus went retrograde. So what she wanted most of her life suddenly stopped for 5 or 10 years. It's going to be in that degree. The Venus, Saturn's moving on, but the Venus is there, and then it starts backing up. It wasn't until 1999 in January that her progressed Venus conjuncted her, came back to its original place, came back to the place it was at birth. So 1999, so it went forward in her life and it backed up. Mine did something like that. Let me just try and pull up something here. I think I want to do it like this. Okay, so here's what we'll do. I'll keep a picture of the Saturn on the side. And I'll make this a little smaller so we can just get both. You may not be able to see the Saturn quite so much, but it's at least, we got it to refer to. So the Venus in 83, Saturn's over I'm just pointing this right, it's here. It's coming, it's still in the 10th house going down to the 11th, so still in the 10th house. Then it turned around. Now it started going backwards. It went back, it got to its own plate in 99. So by 99, Venus is back to the starting point. By 99, Saturn's gone past the IC and it's just squaring her sun, moving to in the 4th house, 5th house. It's just down here starting to build up. Saturn's starting to add new skills and build up at 99. But the Venus turned around and got back to its own place. At that point, it went back, when it retrograde further, it's going back to energies before where you were born. So you start with your Venus in a certain place, what you want, you go in and you're getting what you want up to a certain point. It backs up, comes back to the starting point, then it starts going back before where it was at this lifetime. It starts going back before when you were born. So here, the emotional factors, you could trace it by taking the years where things happen that is going back into the days in your mother, in the last days of in the days of your mom's pregnancy, going back what was happening in her emotional situation during the pregnancy, because there'll be this attitude will be showing in the days. We're seeing it in the years that how it affects your life. So from 99, okay, 99, 67 to 97 to get 30, 32, from 32. So the first 32 years of her life was the first 15 years of her life was coming out of family and going on and progressing with the Venus. Then it backed up and it came back the next until it gets to 99, which is 32 years. Then it gets back to a starting point, back where you started from. What do I want? What do I want? And then it's going back your emotional satisfaction, what you want, your values, your taste, your satisfaction, what you're looking for, the choices you make. They start moving back and being affected by things before this lifetime. So 32 years, 32 days before you were born, well, you could say 32 days after you're born. There's no after you're born. It's not before. It's after when you're 1 month old, your mother's emotional situation changed, and then it went back into, like she may have drifted off to something, or was questioning, but the Venus went back before this lifetime, and it kept going back, it's keep going. It doesn't go direct until 2027. Seems like forever. That's 28 years. That's a whole moon cycle, almost a whole Saturn cycle of Venus being retrograde and backing up before where it was. And it goes from the 9th house. There's a certain point where it'll back up into the 8th house of business. There's something, it implies there's some commitment from another lifetime that you met, and something you have to complete and do. I'm not sure exactly what that means. I would say maybe there's some business, if you're doing business, maybe you have to do some business and do something good with your business and be helping people with your business, so that you're improving something that may have been done not so good another lifetime. But this came in 27, it comes back. My Venus did a similar thing. It'll happen at an earlier time. It went back most of my life. And it does, when you get Venus doing it, it slows down along. You get it in the same place. So her values about trust and what's right and wrong are really strongly there. Backs up, starts coming forward again in a new way. She starts evaluating things differently from 2027 and going forward. That might be in that a different, more positive relationship, having the business, having things together. It starts building up, and then in 2053 it comes back to its starting point, back to the place where it was when you were born, and then it moves forward. And she lives to 2060. That's in her. That would be in her early 80s, 85. If she gets into her 90s, it'll come up. It'll move forward. It'll get up to Pluto and not quite to Uranus. So it's in her 8th and 9th house her whole life. It's in her 9th house, backs up, what's trust, what's not, evaluating that, moves forward. So this is an intimate thing. You can't predict it. You can see the process. You have to dialogue and talk with the person and build up the story to see how it's worked, to be able to, so that she could be able to make sense. She would be able to make sense of what this might be more than anything else. I know for me, when I realized this was happening, my Venus was going back before, and I happened to go back. I was still probably in the middle of, in my end of my second or beginning of my third relationship. I went, oh my goodness, it's not. When is this ever going to get? Mine is in Scorpio. When's it ever going to get out of Scorpio? Get back, going forward again. So that was how I was thinking. But I had it very low in my chart. She has it up high. So it's to do with the people you meet, connections you make, where it's going. It's back to a place. She has a good Venus in her chart, no difficult aspects. So it implies this is going to get back to a good place. Okay, when she got married, she got the place that was seemingly good. Wasn't expecting that it was going to back up and slip back into this thing where she's having to take care of this guy. Maybe in another lifetime, she was the one that stayed and someone had to take care of her. You don't know. So I wonder, but I think about it, I wonder about it, and I'm trying to think about it around the chart. But this is part of my prep work. If you have this stuff in you and you know it, you may not use it. It may not come up that you have to use, but you have it there. And if the consultation gets sensitive and you're working on these issues, this is useful information when it comes to what do you want? What are you going to be satisfied? What are you looking for? It doesn't mean it's all fate. It doesn't mean there's not relationships. It just means there's a tint of karma, tint of going back to other lifetimes before you get back into this lifetime. It's like your desires are somewhere, so not exactly connected to what's outside and around you. It's something inside. And there's a work around this. So I think the right understanding, the learning astrology brought in a new philosophy, a new understanding, brought it clearer, and as she starts to live it, she's having to apply it against relationships, against how she's living, what she's doing, what she's getting involved with. And there's a whole cycle of her life that she's doing this. And astrology is a good companion through this for that ninth and 8th, and it's something she likes. Whoa. And so, okay, that gives us, we saw the Mercury going straight forward to Venus. I went back and up a bit going forward. So she's not sure she wants this or not wants that. Her evaluation is in another place. But on a mystical level, this still can work really positively. On a spiritual level, that's still making social commitments, aligning with spiritual understandings. There's many ways this can be worked. We did the Venus, but I'm just bringing it back up to look at this. So once we've done that, I have a printout, and I do the 8-year, sometimes 10, but usually 8-year graph, but I do an 8-year printout for Saturn to the outer planets and watch those. Then I do a 2-year printout of the transits, and I get Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, all the planets out, conjunctions, squares, oppositions for 2 years, 1 month back and 23 months forward. That lets me get into right in the time what's ahead for the person when you're seeing them. And here with the progressions, I usually run it off for a whole lifetime, but really here I went back to 1999. I would normally do 5 or 6 years, going backwards and forwards with the regressions, but I just noticed some things and I went back a little further for this one. Went back to 1999, so I went back 20 years. I went back 1999, January 1st, when Venus conjuncted Venus. It was going retrograde, this is going back before, so that was the turning point emotionally. Then by 2000, a progressed midheaven squared Jupiter. Okay, that's adjustments. But in 2002, Mars squared the moon. Okay, so I want to show you something here. If you do the progressed printout, if we do the progressed printout from Matrix, which gives you this nice printout, but it doesn't include the outer planet aspects. It gives you the progressed moon, progressed sun, progressed Mercury, progressed Venus. But it doesn't give you the progressed Mars square. Like on this one, I would have to write in, here's 2002. So if you look at 2002, see the progressed moon opposing Neptune, but you don't see the Mars. There's no place for the Mars squaring the moon. And that's a big aspect. All her life, that Mars squaring the moon to get away from family, to push away from family. And then in that time period, she got married, she got the place, she's pushing the new relationship, and she's carrying the whole thing. And the guy backs off and she just keeps carrying it with the Mars moon, pushing a little too hard. Still got the place, still carried it, had her security, but it was a little twisted. By 2003, that Mars went up and conjuncted Neptune. Now these Mars aspects for progressions, they move slowly. So that's 1 year, and it moved less than 1 degree. So here's this is the moon square Neptune in her natal chart between the two. So really for 2 or 3 years before this, 2 or 3 years before this, from 2000, even from 1999, going right up to about 2005, this Mars conjunct Neptune and the Mars square the moon was very strongly, it built up from the lifetime and built up to hit the beginning of that moon Neptune square right to the end of the moon Neptune square. And she was in a physical relationship with perhaps the most pathetic scenario she's ever had or ever will have. And that's really important. And it's not on this progressed printout. It gives the moon, it organizes everything nicely, but you'd have to take the printout and write in. You have to still do the normal calculations of the progress chart and write these in on top of it. Okay, so I wanted to show you that, and there's one other thing I want to show you. The other report we tend to use, which is really useful, which puts the okay, here we go with the transits and progressions. Excuse me a second. Okay, sorry, thank you. Just took a second. So this Mars Neptune was a big phase for 5 years, and it was the 5 or 6 years when she was spaced out in a relationship, and she's carrying it. He didn't have the money, he's not working. Okay, I'll carry it. I progressed someone in 9th house. I should carry it. I can't let him down. I'll take care of it. Her Venus retrograded back into the 8th house in 2005, and it's retrograding back, and she's paying for the guy and for the house, and he's not doing it. He's backing off, and she's carrying everything. There's this karmic thing coming in. It's retrograded back into the 8th house. By 2006, the progressed ascendant is opposing the sun. So, okay, I wanted to show you this. I do these this is the transit to natal and the progress to natal. Puts all the progressions to Mercury, Venus, and here it might. Let's see. I just wanted to get to this 2018. And there we're back here, 2003.